everyone. This video is going to be coming out a little later in the night because the reason is I went before I went into work. There is a small there's a Best Buy by where I work at right next to it. I tried going in there and getting a recording mic so that I can try and improve my video audio. And whenever I went in there and I finally found, probably after 20 minutes of looking, a good mic, and I was actually got home after work, did all this, and got it finally set up, because I was actually trying to increase my audio so that it would sound better, but it actually turns out it sounds like, it's like you can pin it to your shirt, but for some reason the audio, since even if I'm speaking directly into the mic, the audio still sounds like I'm farther away from it. And I don't like that whenever I was watching back the audio, because I was trying to figure out if I can actually be heard from it. So I didn't like that. So now I'm just going to be using my standard headphones. Also, Katsumi is going to be posting part 2 of the collab we did tomorrow morning. Now, that is to answer a comment I got about whenever part 2 of the collab was going to be posted. I asked him probably 2 to 3 days ago, and I asked him again today, and he answered me. So anyway, that is the answer to that question. Now, whenever we last left off, Deku has essentially dismantled the Action Vanguard squad, and he actually nearly killed Muscular, because Muscular is now missing a right arm and has burns all along the right side of his face. Heroes are torn whether to scold Deku or congratulate him, because they're rolling in Mr. Compress. He has a broken jaw, broken ribs, and a broken spine. Now, after that, they would roll in Muscular. He's in even worse condition. Now, people would actually recognize Muscular as the man who killed probably 4 or 5. I don't know how many heroes he killed, but let's say he killed probably 10 heroes. And these were all local heroes, just graduated. Well, not just graduated from UA, that's kind of dark. That would mean that he killed kids. He killed he killed just some regular heroes. Let's go with that, because that sounds less dark. Anyway, after doing this, after they would see Muscular, they would kind of feel less hesitant about trying to scold Deku, because that man is actually a monster. And after hearing that he actually tried killing a kid, they would feel less. They would feel like they wouldn't be as torn, because he is. He's an asshole, okay? That's simplest words. I get 1. PG-13. Okay, nothing. I curse a lot in my daily life, so I try not to curse a lot whenever I'm recording. And with where I work, I actually am around a lot of people. So, yeah, I'm not really cursing a lot in these videos, because I am actually trying to break that habit. Now, after that, Momo would actually talk about how she put a tracker on one of the Nomu that were at the camp. And Toga and Deku are actually listening in on this conversation. And after Momo actually is done with that conversation with All Might, Endeavor, and Inko, because Endeavor, he actually does know about All for One in this timeline, because he wasn't there to fight because he was probably out on vacation with his kids. So he wasn't there for the All for One fight. That's my excuse for that. He's a good father in this one. I cannot say that without laughing a little. Okay. Now, after that, hmm, after that, because Endeavor, no, I'm not going to go into that. Anyways, after that, Endeavor, Inko, and All Might would actually talk about how they should bring along Deku and Toga. Endeavor would actually bring up the point that that's not a very smart idea because wasn't he trying to take Toga's quirk? After hearing about this, Deku would actually try confronting them and asking what's going on. And what do they mean by take his quirk? Or take her quirk? And Endeavor would actually face Deku and explain to him that because this would surprise Inko. Well, this would surprise All Might, but Inko knew he was listening. They would state that not Endeavor. Endeavor would state that All for One is essentially a man who can take quirks and give quirks. And whenever he tried to he once tried to take Endeavor's fire quirk, but Inko actually helped. Inko and All Might stopped him from doing so. Now, after that, the whole thing with Deku and Toga, they would join. Inko would say that they're coming with to fight All for One, because the safest place for them would be, well, the safest, well, they're fighters, they're not going to run. And she already knows that Deku would not try and stay behind. He would not try and, he wants to be the person protecting people. He doesn't want to be someone to be protected. So she would say that they're coming along with him. Well, they're coming with them. Now, after this would happen, Aizawa, he would have been informed about this and this whole operation, so he will actually be going to one of the villain hideouts in this timeline because he's still a very powerful man. Now, he's actually there with Mount Lady at that location. Okay, so, anyways, after that, whenever. Okay, I'm gonna do this joke again because I did this with the bad audio recording. Deku would knock on the door. Everyone's looking at Deku questionably, like, why did you make us known? Deku would just yell, "Pizza's here," and Shigaraki would yell, "Finally, yes, my pineapple pizza." And as soon as Deku heard that, he lost his mind. Well, he didn't lose his mind, but he got very angry. He would just run through the door. And I mean legit running through the door, just busting through the wall, shouting that that's the most evil thing he's ever heard. And he's heard him say that he was going to kill his mother. Now, after that, Shigaraki and Kurogiri would actually be teleported away by All for One. Now, after that, Deku, Toga, and his mom would start flying over. All Might's basically jumping there. He'll be there in a couple seconds. Well, he'll be there in like a second while they're flying, and Inko's actually carrying Endeavor. And what I mean by that is like she's with her. She has her left arm outstretched while she's flying underneath her, and she's holding onto Endeavor's arm, and they're just flying straight. Now, after they get there, Endeavor and All Might are actually evacuating citizens along with the rest of the heroes. Because as soon as they got there, All for One would have thrown that punch. Whenever he did throw this punch, All Might would have actually countered it with another one. After that, All Might would then say that he's really glad that you brought, well, he brought Toga straight to him. Because with her quirk, he can finally, like, have the Hakai quirk that Inko has. Now then, whenever this does happen, Deku gets mad, and he would be the first person to rush All For One. All For One would actually throw Deku aside because in this timeline, Inko is stronger than All Might, so he would actually have to look and find more powerful quirks. He would have probably twice the regeneration quirks and 20 times the powerhouse quirks. Now, after that, Deku would have gotten back up, and he would just see the monstrosity All For One has created. He would just see how strong and how, like, what this giant thing he has looks like. And he would not be impressed. He would be just unable to speak because it's almost the size of Mountain Lady's head. If not, it's bigger than Mountain Lady's head. Now, after that, Inko would actually start fighting All For One, and this entire battle is just shaking this city. Like, they have to start evacuating nearby neighborhoods, like within a 10-block radius, just to make sure no one gets hurt from the sheer shockwaves coming off this battle. Now, after that, Deku, he would actually join in to the battle and help his mother because he knows it's not a very common knowledge, but he knows like the weakness of his quirk and her quirk is just time. It's also overuse. Now then, after this, All For One, he would begin doing a lot of. He'd like try shooting a lot of like acid, a lot of projectiles, doing all this, all that, and he would be doing this to counter Inko's Hakai energy. Let's say he also encountered a energy quirk that stockpiles a bit of sunlight so that he can actually shoot it out of his hands. Now, that's not very like it's not very like it's like scientific, but it's also quite weird. Now, Endeavor Endeavor after Endeavor, All Might, and them give the all clear and come back to the battlefield, saying that they got as many people as they could find evacuated, Inko would then say that good. Now they just need to defeat All For One. After this, Toga would have actually entered the battle and actually copied Deku's quirk, along with Endeavor's. And after this, she's actually using a mixture of Deku's quirk and Endeavor's quirk to actually fight All For One with. So she's just shooting as much fire as possible. But she's also moving around and jumping around as fast as Deku. Now they're actually like moving around All For One very fast, and they're just shooting fire at him constantly. Well, he's trying to guard from this. He actually also has to guard from Inko's attacks. Now then, after that, let's say, okay, All Might would actually try and help Inko, but let's say now this is whenever he gets his injury, or let's say that not injury. Let's say he like, no, it still doesn't make sense. Okay. I was gonna say he would try and do a 1,000,000% smash, but he didn't break his arm whenever he used that against the Nomu. Okay. Now, let's say that he's trying to fight alongside Inko, and those two are actually having quite a lot of trouble. Eventually, Inko would get to the point where she would start doing what Deku does, where she'd start blowing out muscles. And Deku is actually almost at that point, but he would then try shooting his red Hakai energy at All For One. This would actually hit All For One and surprise him. And whenever he tries putting out the fire goes out, but he can still feel it. Now he would realize that Deku might actually have the better quirk. So he tries to rush Deku, and Deku would actually just keep firing as much hakai energy and fire as possible at All For One. Now, after seeing this, Inko, she would actually heal herself with her healing ability, and this would actually create the white strand in her hair, like what Deku still has. After this, this is somewhat harder to do. I'm trying to find a way to do this a certain way I want it. Okay, after this, Inko would actually be taken out of the battlefield to heal, because let's say she got injured, and she would leave the rest to Deku. Now, Deku would actually step up to the plate to try and fill in his mother's shoes. So he starts powering up as much as he can. And as soon as the ground around him stops shaking, Deku would immediately just suck up all of his energy into his body and rush All For One. Now, after that, All For One would try throwing a smash at Deku. And I mean, he's cocking his arm back and it starts going back further than it should. And he just immediately throws it forward with as much force as he can. And Deku just counters this with his own punch. They're essentially having a battle of strength. All For One is winning, but then all you hear from Deku is one simple word: Hakai. After that, All For One's arm entirely gets engulfed in flames, and he's just screaming out in pain. After this, All For One's arm is actually disintegrating. Now, whenever this does happen, Deku would have actually gone and swept All For One's leg. Now, after that, Deku would have actually broken both of All For One's legs and tried knocking him out. So he would actually break All For One's mask. Now, whenever he does knock out All For One, he thinks the battle is over. So he would start walking away from All For One, and all of a sudden, a spike goes through his shoulder. You just hear Deku scream out in pain, and everyone can see this. The news, Toga, because she's out of stamina, so she cannot copy quirks anymore. She screams out Midoriya, or Izuku, if that's his. Yeah, Izuku's his first name. She just scream it out, and all of a sudden, Deku, the hole in his arm starts healing. Now, instead of looking battle damaged, Deku is actually his blood is clearing up off of his skin and his wounds are healing. After that, Deku would rush All For One and just engulf him in flames as much as he can, as much as possible. He's screaming at All For One. He is trying to hold everything and just force it in one single direction. All that's left by the time you see All For One, because Deku just tries using his fire quirk against All For One as much force as possible, trying to hold his body together. And he's using his high energy to heal him over and over and over again. He's using it to heal the burns in his throat so he can keep going. Even the needles he feels in his lungs, he doesn't feel like he can breathe. He's having so much trouble. Now, after the smoke, everything would clear. All you would see is All For One laying there, trying to pick up his arm, and all you can see is like not even. It's barely there. Barely any part of All For One is there. He's covered in a he's covered in a golden substance. and a metallic substance. Because he would have hardened his body. Let's say he found a quirk that can harden your body as to the point of gold. Actually, no, platinum. Titanium, actually. He found a quirk that can harden him to the point of titanium. And I know that's got a very, very high melting point. So he would actually be like that and he'd be trying to move. Now, as soon as he would try and move his arm, it would have fallen off the joint and turned into a puddle of goo. His legs aren't even working anymore. All for one is scared. He feels frightened. All you would see Deku do is just raise his hand up out of the smoke in victory. Now then, after that, he would just shoot as much fire into the air as he can with both of his hands and his mouth. It's to the point where his fire starts going from yellow to blue, and then from blue to red. As soon as it gets to this point, that's whenever it's just shooting so high and over the buildings that it is just symbolizing that the heroes have won. Peace and balance. Peace and balance, no. It is symbolizing that the heroes have won. The battle is over. Everyone is saved. And while the rest of the smoke clears, Deku would fall over and pass out. Now, Deku would wake up later in a hospital bed, along with the. He would feel. All he would do is he would wake up with his. And he would just feel a pressure in his chest. Now, whenever he does try to move, all he would hear is, Midori, Izuku, you're finally awake. Now, what happened to Deku was. Well, actually, I'm going to say this. This is all from Toga's point of view. All she would tell. No, not from Toga's point of view. I'm not doing that. That sounds weird. I don't want to do the voice. I was going to try and do a voice, but it would sound very weird. Anyway, she would tell Deku that she's so happy that he's okay and he's finally awake. Deku wouldn't understand what she means by finally. And now she would then tell Deku that he's been passed out for 4 days straight. Anyway, guys, that is where I'm going to leave this part off, and I hope you guys have enjoyed. I will be doing part 12, I believe, tomorrow, and that may actually finish off this What If. Oh man. That means that it's actually going to beat my ball manipulation part for most parts. I'm kind of I'm kind of mad about that, but I'm also really happy that this one has come so far. Alright, guys. Have an amazing day, and I hope you enjoyed the video.